Hi, I'm Pierrette and welcome to my kitchen. Today on the menu we're going to be making sausage and peppers with onions and some tomatoes in it, and we're going to be serving it a little differently. I know a lot of times they put it in a big Italian roll, and that's fine if that's your preference. This recipe works for that too. If you wanted to, you could serve it over fettuccine, because we are going to make a little bit of a sauce out of the juice that comes out of the peppers and tomatoes. But there's also the option of doing it on a spaghetti squash base. So that's what we're going to do in lieu of pasta today to keep our carbs down. Now, I put this spaghetti squash, you just do a quick karate chop right near the head, and you can see where I had already done that. That's how deeply I cut. So I'm going to finish that cut all the way through, but I cut it partially. I put it in the microwave. This one went in for about 5.5 minutes. Now you can see this is about an 8-inch spaghetti squash. They do come bigger, and the bigger they are, the more time you need to leave them in. For one that's about twice this size, I've left it in as long as 10 minutes. But this one I only left in for about 5.5, and it's cooked through. And you can tell that it's cooked through when you can press a knife or a fork in through it easily if it passes the fork test. So I'm gonna leave this here to cool, because then we are going to scoop out all of the seeds and the stuff that comes with the seeds, just like a pumpkin. So I'm gonna leave this right here to cool while we work on the other items. So I also prepared the tomatoes a little bit. I took a small knife and set the tomato on the counter and just rotated the knife around to cut the center core where it attaches to the stem out of it. And I'm gonna leave it just like this for now. I also have some garlic that I've already peeled. This is probably about 1/2 of a bulb. You may not want that much garlic. I think it's nice also. We have 1 whole onion, which I'm just gonna slice up really fast. Take off this end. There we go. So we're gonna have onions, we're gonna have some peppers. I chose 3 different colors of peppers just because I love how that looks. So I'm gonna take about 1/2 of each one of these peppers and do the same thing. Now these are gonna be a little wider, maybe 1/4 of an inch, because we want them to, well, we don't want them to cook too quickly. And you could probably forego the red pepper if you wanted to, because you do have the red in the tomatoes, but I love red peppers. I love how sweet they are. And there we go. There is everything that we're gonna use, along with a little basil, which we'll chop into thin strips, like we did on the video for the tomatoes, the side garnish that we did yesterday. And then also a little bit of parsley. So this is where the flavors happen. So now that we have the meat sliced up, our pan has been warming. I'm going to pour in some olive oil. It's about 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that pan is nice and hot because it's actually smoking a little bit. I'm gonna throw in our onion. And our garlic. And we're gonna turn the heat down to about a medium-low for about a medium right now. I'm also going to give it just a minute, and then I will throw in the tomatoes as well. The tomatoes are going to cook just about as long as the meat, but I do want the meat to get a sear first. I'm gonna add that now with the onions. And I'll take a sec to wash my hands because I was handling raw meat. Our sausage and onions are cooking, and I want to let these go for a few minutes and get a nice little bit of sear on them and cook down the onions a little bit and get some caramelization. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning. And then we're also gonna do some oregano. I would say probably no more than a ½ teaspoon of each. If you wanted to, you could add salt and pepper. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of cayenne pepper on mine at the end if I want spice. So I'm just gonna let these cook up a little bit. It smells absolutely amazing. Now we are starting to get some caramelization in the bottom of the can. See that? That little golden color on the bottom of the can? That is exactly what you want to create flavor in your food. We want to cook this, but not so much that the meat dries out. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tomatoes and put the lid on it for just a couple of minutes. I want them to get tender and a little bit fat and juicy and soft, and then we're going to pop them as they cook. And that juice will make a really great broth, and with that broth we're going to thicken that up, and that'll be a sort of sauce that goes over our spaghetti squash at the end. I thought while our sausage and onions and tomatoes are cooking, we could address the spaghetti squash. So I wanted to show you how this works. You have in the center, just like a pumpkin, seeds and goo that need to come out. So you scoop these out into a separate pile. And then you're gonna take your fork, and this is the easy part. You just pull along the edge of the spaghetti squash, and it comes out just like that. This one is cooked perfectly. It's not so soft that the spaghetti has no texture to it. I like it just a little bit al dente, where the shredded portions are just a little bit al dente, so they're a little bit, not crunchy, but just texture. No one likes baby food. No one likes mush as an adult anyway, typically. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do. I don't. Okay, so that is how you treat the spaghetti squash. I'm gonna do the other half as well, so that when we're ready to serve, it is finished and ready to go. This part you just discard along with the guts. Although you can clean these out and bake these seeds just like you would pumpkin seeds, from what I understand. I haven't done it, but I understand that you can do that. You season them just like you would pumpkin seeds and bake them. We're gonna check on the sausage and onions. Hold please. So they've been simmering on low heat, and I went ahead and broke them in half. It's been a good 5 or 6 minutes. You can see all of this juice that's starting to happen as the tomatoes are softening and as the juice is being released. It's also important to keep the lid on at this point, because the lid is going to trap that steam and make that juice, and it's also going to prevent the Italian sausage from getting too dried out. So now we're gonna add the peppers. I'm gonna drop these in here. They look beautiful. These colors are gorgeous. And we're only gonna let this steam for another couple of minutes, because the steam that it's already making, that's making it all juicy, is also going to steam these peppers. So I'm gonna turn it up just a bit. It's been on kind of a low heat, as you can see. I'm gonna turn it up to about a medium high. So we have a couple of things while we're waiting for the peppers to finish steaming. They're looking great. And the sauce is developing a lot of juice. I'm going to take about a teaspoon of flour and just sprinkle that over the top, trying not to let it get into the juice, trying to keep it on top of the meat and peppers. Now that was about 2 teaspoons, I guess, by the time I'm done. And that's gonna take all of this juice and turn it into a little bit of a thicker sauce, so that it will stick to our spaghetti squash a little better. So I'm gonna turn this off now. This looks great. And we have just a few final steps. We're going to take some basil and parsley, chop that up and mix it in. So There's our basil. And you take your leaves and roll them up like a cigar and give them a quick chop, and that turns them into perfect little strips. And we're gonna mix that in. And then we have some flat leaf parsley. This is Italian parsley, and I'm just pulling this off so that I can put the leaves together. And we're gonna chop up these leaves the same way that we just did, kind of trying to put them into a cluster so that they are easier to chop that way. And we take that roughly chopped parsley that looks so beautiful, and we put that in there too. I'm gonna give it a quick stir. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this. It is absolutely beautiful. Red, yellow, and green peppers with basil and parsley and all of those yummy flavors that we put in there, the Italian seasoning and the oregano. So now we're gonna serve. So this is our finished meal. Italian sausage with peppers and onions and tomatoes served over spaghetti squash in this case, but you could always serve it over bread or pasta. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you'll share and subscribe. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.